Hello again. My voice is a little. I have just got a lot of energy flowing right now, and been really kind of in it, deep diving into my stuff, into my shadow, into some anger and repressed anger a lot. And I just kind of wanted to get on here and share a little bit about my process in case you can relate, or maybe you're working through this too, or maybe you aren't, but hearing about it might help you get in touch with some of your own anger, own repressed anger. And this is very much around the wounded feminine energy that is so heavy on the planet, for so long. I did a reading yesterday for myself. I've just been really going through it. I don't know what experience you're having, but I follow a lot of astrology, and the energies on the planet are very intense right now. We're going through some deep transformation, deep evolution as humanity as a whole. Really big jump in our consciousness, and with that, it comes a clearing and purging and shedding of old ways, and we're seeing that happen right now with many systems struggling, collapsing, fighting back. A lot of people fighting back against the systems, and as above, so below. The external world really is a good indicator of our internal world. So internally, I've got the systems fighting against themselves, fighting each other, and the feminine and masculine, so much masculine in a really unhealthy way. There's nothing wrong with masculine energy at all, of course, but it's just gotten really imbalanced on our planet, and we're seeing the real dark sides of masculine energy, not a lot of the positives. So for so long, doesn't mean it's not there. Of course there's positive masculine energy on the planet. That's not what I'm saying at all, but you know what I mean. It's out of control, and we've embodied so much of this, and I'm just really working through a lot of that right now. We're just seeing it in a different way. I'm seeing my own anger at the male energy, that masculine energy, that unhealthy. Let me just premise it by always saying that right now. I'm working with the unhealthy masculine, the wounded feminine within me that is really, really angry and raging. And that's the healthy feminine too, is angry and raging. And it's just been really painful to see it all. I did this reading yesterday because again, I was saying this earlier, it's up, I've got a lot of energy going on, so I was like, I need to do a big reading. I'll pull cards for myself, oracle cards, tarot cards. I'll do little spreads, but sometimes, when something's big and you just need to do a bigger one. So this is like one of my favorite decks. This is Dreams of Gaia Tarot, and the images are just absolutely stunning, and the wisdom is brilliant and beautiful. And like each card will have, look at this one. This is one of the major arcana cards. It's called Thought, and it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages. 7 pages of really detailed information. This helps you really get into it. Some books come, or some decks come with just a little bit of information, and it depends, I guess, on how you enjoy reading tarot. But I like it when there's a lot of meat behind it and a lot of wisdom coming through. And before, I did this beautiful spread yesterday, and all the cards were just so perfect. Before I even went to the book, I got a huge reading out of it, and a lot of clarity on what I'm working with. And it's very much around this repressed anger that's holding me back, keeping me from being in my power. And there's actually a lot of power in that anger, so long as it's in the conscious and I can work with it in a healthy way. It's been repressed. I've just like shoved it down and shoved it down and shoved it down. And I just got in touch with it's just how deep it is, how deep the anger goes. And it goes back to birth, being put up for adoption, and not being held by the feminine, pretty much ever in my life, like really being held and supported, and me having to be the masculine, and shut down my feminine so I could take care of myself, in a pretty difficult world. It was really difficult for me. I know it is for so many people. It's very, it's not, we're not held and supported and loved and feeling cared for in the way that we need to be, just as a general rule. Of course that doesn't apply to everybody. Some people have that healthy feminine energy and healthy masculine in their lives, and that's gorgeous and beautiful, but as a whole, that is not where we are at on the planet. It's really unhealthy energies, and the feminine has been so repressed, and I had to take on the masculine role, so just and shut down my own feminine, which was I came in with a lot of emotions, very sensitive, and very in pain, very hurting. I think, from the adoption, losing my mother. So there's just a loss of the feminine right there, just from the get-go, and then many other circumstances throughout my childhood and life, just compounded that. And so for me, the way I dealt with it was to really go into the masculine and go into that, trying to prove myself worthy. This is what this society is all about. And we've talked about the worthiness here. I don't know if you watched any of my other videos, but I talk about that a lot. And for me to be worthy, I've tried to prove myself by masculine standards, which is, what most of us do, because that's the society we're in. So, and I'm just getting in touch with how much anger I have around that, how much anger I have around the masculine not being there, holding me and supporting me. My father was dealing with his own unhealthy stuff and wasn't there. He was not there when my parents got divorced when I was 6, and a lot of us have that in our history. And so, oftentimes the father will leave, and we're there with the mother, who is herself trying to do the masculine role and take care of everything. And that was my mom's place. That's what she ended up having to do, was try to be both. And so her feminine wasn't supported, and it never really was, I don't think. So, given my family history and just the energies that are prevalent in my family, the women have always taken on the masculine role, and the masculine has just kind of been in the backseat doing I don't know what, pretty absent, and definitely not in a healthy role. So the women have just kind of, they haven't been able to be in their feminine power or in their feminine nurturing energy, and it's come out it's come out very sideways, in not a pretty way. And there's a lot of resentment and anger through my whole family, and especially with the feminine energy, that dominate. The feminine masculine energy dominates, the masculine through the feminine, which is just, it's very skewed. So I'm just seeing it a lot right now. That reading yesterday was really big for me. And so once I tapped into that anger, and the repressed anger, it was just kind of like opened up, and it's just like scratch. It's just kind of flowing out now, and right there on the surface. So I now I have a lot of tools to work with that anger, and I can recognize it and take responsibility for it, and work with it in a healthy way. During my practice this morning, I got a pillow and just really went to town on the pillow, just beating the pillow, and silent screaming into the pillow, which is kind of hard with this piercing I discovered. So careful if you have a piercing here. Watch the pillow there. But a lot of crying, and just moving that energy and really trying to be in it, not bypass it and spiritually bypass it and try to, oh, love and light all over the place, and not just be in it. Here it is, and I have to like honor it and let it move through, and not try to jump around it, and continue to repress it. I need to let it out. And so that's what I was working with today. And we'll continue to work with. I know writing is a really powerful tool for that. So writing, I'll be getting into writing after I do this. I wanted to share here about this a little bit. There's a lot of anger around the sexual repression and the distorted, convoluted sexual energy, or how my own sexuality has been very perverted. Let's just say perverted, distorted, shunned, shamed, and tried to be put into a little box and controlled. And I've done this for myself, trying to conform to, I don't know if it's conform. Our sexuality is so fucked up, our sexual expression, and mine is really, really, really messed up. And I feel like I have a lot of sexual energy, and I don't know exactly how to let it out. I don't know. It's weird. I feel like there's this explosion, this thing that's just ready to just burst open, and I don't know how or what that looks like. And I guess in the context of this video, just looking back on the history of how controlled it has to be, what is that feminine energy without so much control and structure and repression? What does that look like? I guess for me, what that feels like is just like this dam getting ready to burst, and it scares me. I don't know exactly how to work with that, and I know it's been there. I've controlled it for a very long time. Because there is some kind of fear of it, because I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what that's going to look like when the feminine erupts, and when I guess so. The repression of the anger, because I don't know what that's going to look like when it erupts. There's times where I just want to like bash my head against the wall, to just like open it up and let it out, so my previous career, escorting, I did escort work for like 12 years, and that was a way that I was able to express my sexuality in a very controlled environment. I had total control over how, what, when, who, what that all looked like. And there was very strong and clear boundaries around all of it. So it was a way for me to really let out my sexual energy within some really clear restraints and constraints, and that worked for me, because I guess, like thinking backwards, back, before I had that container for it, it could get destructive for me personally, because, it's like one night stands. It was just connecting with people that weren't necessarily healthy. It was, I didn't know how to harness it in that way. I wasn't yet prepared for my own self to have boundaries in that kind of a situation, around healthy relationships, what was healthy for me, what wasn't, or just being able to connect with somebody in a sexual way, and then just saying, okay, that's it, you know, I don't want any more, because getting so wrapped up in what is expected of us once we do have sex with a person, you know, like all of a sudden you can be in a relationship, or you're not, and then you look like a bitch, or, you know, I mean, there's just so many ways that it's really perverted, and, you know, or then you're a slut because you're just having sex with somebody one time, and you know, or you're easy, you know, that, you know what I'm talking about. So it was confusing for myself, trying to again fit into the societal norms, conditioning, standards, limitations, labels, whatever, you know. So when I discovered dancing, you know, being up on stage, dancing, stripping, you know, dancing at exotic clubs, men's clubs, that was a way for my sexual energy to come out. But it wasn't necessarily the most comfortable for me, because I was still kind of insecure with myself and my body, and there's a lot of you know, these ideal, what a female body is supposed to look like in those settings, and or not even in those settings, you know what I'm talking about, what is really valued in those settings. And I was like, I never felt like I was quite that, you know, I don't feel like I looked quite the part, but, and I wasn't into hustling, you know, so it wasn't and it brings in a lot of unhealthy masculine energy, you know, it was not a lot of consciousness around those places. So, and I was drinking, so yes, there was sexual energy, and I was able to express that, but I was still felt very like, you know, it just wasn't really, again, the healthiest place for me. So once I started being offered you know, like, do you do private shows? And it was just, at first it was always no, I wasn't going to do that. But then eventually I just said yes, and that was great. I had a great time. I made great money, and then I didn't have to be at the club anymore. So it was just like, well, shoot. Which, I mean, it's kind of fun to be at a club. You get to dress up sexy and, you know, connect with people and have fun. But it was more like a party type of a scene. So loud music, that was fun too. But anyway, I was really getting angry in that place. My anger was really coming out, because, you know, expressing myself and being up there on stage, and somebody would put down $1, it's just like, come on, what the hell, let's, you know, this is not an even energy exchange. So I just started getting really angry at that situation. It was no longer fun for me. And then you fuel that with some alcohol, and I was not doing well. It was not a healthy place for me to be. So luckily we transitioned over to this other thing that was very, turned out to be a much better fit for me. And then I was getting to express myself sexually and connect with a number of different people, which I really enjoy, connecting with various energies. So, and that was great, you know, that was great. And all of a sudden I had a whole bunch of money, you know, I was in a lot of freedom, and I just felt very in control and very empowered. And so that just continued on. Where was I going with this? I think, oh, I guess just around the containers with my sexuality. That's right. Okay, thanks. So then just, and the more I went into that, you know, of course I ran into the unhealthy masculine energy, and some weird sexual, the way that comes out very sideways and really perverted, and which is not my thing. You know, some women are okay with supporting that, and, you know, moving into some of those interesting fantasies and fetishes, and there was a lot of, not that that's all entirely unconscious, but a lot of it is, you know. So I really desperately, after a point, once I quit the drinking and started really on my spiritual path, I really so much wanted to bring a lot more consciousness and awareness into my encounters, and started gearing things more towards that. And And that helped me to have even stronger boundaries around who I was and was not going to spend time with, and what I was worth, and what my time was worth, and the kind of energy and people the company I wanted to keep. So I got very clear on that, and again, that just allowed me to get deeper into my expression and my sexual energy, and I got to work through a lot of the anger that I had towards men, um, which really was provoked in early on in those days of escorting, and I like could easily have gotten bitter, but luckily things went in a direction where I quit the drinking. I got very conscious around what I was doing, and just met so many lovely people and had some lovely encounters, and made really good friends, people that it was more people I really care about, really care about. But again, yeah, just a lot of boundaries around my sexual energy, and now I'm not doing that, and I don't know. I feel like that energy is very repressed, and I don't know how to work with that. And I guess to, again, in the construct of this, that's not the word I'm looking for, to do with this video, there's a lot of anger around how I have and have not been able to express my sexual energy, and how that is or is not met. And it's rich and deep and complex, and there's so much to it, especially given how what I did do for a living previously. And I was really working to bring consciousness to sexual connections and relations in that, and that was such my passion and purpose for quite a while. And now I'm not in that world anymore, and I guess it's been about a year now since I fully stepped away from that, and so I think now I'm starting to really look at what is my sexuality, what is my sexual energy and expression away from that. I am now newly married. It's only been a few years, and the first few years of my marriage I was still escorting, so that was really intense, trying to organize all of that and get that figured out and streamlined. And ultimately it didn't get streamlined because I'm not doing that work anymore. It was kind of an either or thing. It turned out that I couldn't do both things, and I don't think that's entirely because of myself. I mean, my husband just really wasn't working with that very well, and it turned out that it was just too much, so I had to let that go. And so I guess I'm dealing with a lot of anger around that, truth be told, and that's part of what's coming up for me right now. And talking through this here is helpful, and that's, I guess, part of the repression. I've been repressing that anger, and there's resentment there, which I absolutely do not want to have, and so I need to work with that and take responsibility for it. But the way I'm feeling it is just being kind of put, again, the female sexual energy needing to be controlled and dominated by the masculine, and this is what it has to look like, and in order to be approved and loved and cared for, I needed to conform to a certain way of being, and I had to shut down a big part of myself. And or I feel like I had to shut down a big part of myself, and now I don't know exactly what it looks like. I guess that's what I'm working through, and I don't know how to I don't know how to go about that, you know, because it was a certain thing for so long, and doesn't mean that was necessarily always the healthiest thing. But again, there's so much weird conditioning and shaming and shunning against sex work. So, you know, not only do I work through my own stuff around it, but it's like societal stuff. I couldn't, you know, I finally was able to come out of the closet to my family in 2018, and that was a huge fucking burden off of me, because, you know, I had to keep myself hidden and hide so much of myself in a big part of my life, a very important part of my life, and something that I felt good about, but I couldn't feel good about it with all of the societal crap, you know? Um, I mean, that was my experience of it. You know, again, there was layers. It was not just black and white, you know, like I can feel great about what I do or I don't, you know, I mean, there was different levels of it, that I was always trying to work through, and I would get really confident in what I was doing. And then something would be like, you know, come in to kind of like, that I would have to work with other energies that weren't necessarily supportive of what I was doing, and kind of trying to bring consciousness into a world that was really lacking in consciousness, was also like, am I in the right place? Am I doing the right work here? Is this the right thing for me? Because it was kind of exhausting in that sense, and easy to like let go of what I was trying to do and forget, you know, and then just go into unconscious mode myself. So it was a lot of processing and self-reflection and work. And, you know, was it just about money? You know, was that it? And, you know, always working with that, but mostly feeling really good about bringing awareness in. And yes, there was a financial component. That's just an energy exchange. So I got really comfortable with that too. So, but I don't know, there's a lot there. If you have any questions about that world or that, you know, part of my life, you know, feel free to comment below, or reach out to me and we can talk about that. It is rich and complex, and I'll sure I'll be talking about it more. This is maybe the most I've talked about it and been comfortable talking about it, because there's still this weird like stigma around it, you know. But geez, who cares, right? I don't know. Fuck. But yeah, a year in now to not doing that work, and I don't know what my sexual energy looks like, and I'm just feeling weird around that, feeling like I had to shut down a part of myself and don't know how to really open it back up without, you know, because it did have a lot of boundaries around it. There was so much, so now what, you know? But more the anger, you know, the anger around why did I have to shut that part of myself down to be in marriage, and to really have, why did it have to be one or the other kind of things, you know? And so there's that. But just the weird perversion on women's sexuality and our sexual energy anyway is always having to be controlled. And so how do we work with that? How do we what's a good safe place to express that's ongoing, and not just like a weekend workshop where we go and connect with other women and we all get a little crazy, and then what, we go back into society where we shut ourselves back down, or, you know, maybe I'm just in the baby steps of this, I don't know. Maybe things are just really, I think I had a dream last night where I was on this out in the water, or kind of like on the edge of the water, but it was deep water. It was black water. I was in a little rowboat, a little wooden boat, and I had my little stuffed badger with me. I have a badger is one of my power animals, so I have my spirit animal. I have a little stuffed badger that I sleep with every night, and she's been showing up in my dreams recently. And Badger is just, she's a deep diver, and it's all about transformation, and she's a real healing energy, a real medicine animal. but into the depths underneath, digging down into the roots. And she's fierce, she's a fierce energy. And so she was there, and we were on this black water, deep, 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 dark water in the dark. I mean, that's the unconscious, right? Water is the unconscious and dreams and the emotions. So it was like these deep, dark emotions. And we're just sitting there, and I saw out in the water there was these two ships, and one was kind of like a robot ship a little bit, and the other ship was not a robot ship, more like just maybe a wooden ship or something. And the robot ship was attacking the other ship. And in the way I see that is kind of like the masculine attacking the feminine, or the feminine masculine energies like fighting it out, kind of out there. Yeah, so anyways, that deep black dark repressed emotions there, and that's really what I'm working with, is this deep shit. So that goes back generations. This is not just my energy, and I know that, and that's why I'm sharing it here, because it is so much of what we're working with on this planet right now, and with the earth and Gaia. The raping and pillaging of the feminine, and the repression and the control and the shunning of it, and the repressing of the feminine energy. And it's just, so this is not the first time I've worked with this. This is an ongoing, I mean, hence we're here, healing sacred feminine, that's what it's about. But it's just amazing to me how I can do work and work and work, and then it still like keeps going to these newer and deeper levels. And it's just like, I really feel like, I mean, these are such archetypal energies. It's not my own. I feel like, I have my own experiences, but like we're here. I trust that so many of us are here as star seeds, light workers, whatever you want, beings on the planet, to help work with this energy, to filter it through ourselves, through our own experiences that we're having, and then the awakening process, all the tools that we're learning, all the work that we're doing. We're clearing the energy from ourselves and from the planet, but from humanity and from our consciousness. This is part of the evolution, part of what's happening on the planet right now. So I know that's what's moving through me and what I'm tapping into. And where, the astrology, again, there's so much light coming onto the planet, and we're going through apparently this photon belt, and it's like breaking up the old shit before we can really move into the light. So not that it's going to be all, sunshine and roses for here on out, once there's always stuff to work with, but we're definitely in a place where we're elevating our consciousness and we're moving up. So I know so many of us are here to do this work, for it's way bigger than us. This is not just about my personal life. This is energies that we came into. We were born into this energetic frequency. We were born into all this dysfunction, and it's what we're made of. It's what we're working with. It's what we're clearing on so many levels, body, mind, and spirit, moving it through our own physical body because we've embodied it, and our spirits, our minds, the thought patterns, the belief systems, the conditioning, the limitations, we're busting through that shit and really looking at that, and how does that serve us, how doesn't it serve us, and how do we change it. And but they're big, big, big energies that and I know it's not all mine, so I'm just like trying to step back and not attached to story. I have my story of it, my experience of how it's played out in my life, but it is bigger energies, and I don't have to like attach to any of the specifics. The anger and the resentment that I'm feeling right now, I'm just like, okay, there they are, yeah. How do I work with it in a healthy way, in a conscious way? How do I let it move through me? And not in a passive way, but just like let it move. How do I support its movement and go, yes, okay, there's those energies, and I don't have to hold on to resentment, because it's not even, it's very easy to project that at something or someone, even the government, the systems, this, my husband, our partners, our fathers, our, the masculine energies, beings in our lives. It's easy to, put it on them, but it's not about that. And that's not that's just projection, and it's not taking responsibility. So I'm very aware of that, and how that can play out in relationship dynamics. You know, it's very easy to like, oh, this is you, you know. But no, this is my stuff. This is bigger stuff that's moving through. So I just really wanted to get on here and share a bit about that. And I think it's important to share our process. And yeah, I don't have answers for it, and I know sometimes I want to like wrap it up with a nice little bow and have it figured out, but I think it's a messy process. It's messy, so this video is messy. I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm so tired of it, you know, tired of having it all figured out. It keeps coming up in really interesting ways right now. Again, coming back to the astrology, we're in some final the final degree. Jupiter's in the final degree of the zodiac, and there's been some final clearing out, moving back into Pisces, which is water, emotions, depth, and our spiritual growth and our spiritual process, and a connection to the unity, the oneness that we all are. And as it has moved back there, and is now moving forward back into Aries, you know, we're at this ending point. We are really clearing some stuff from this past 12-year cycle, but it's a lot bigger than that. We're coming up on the solstice. There's some powerful new energies, so I know this is some real clearing that needs to happen, and a big part of my process, the process of the planet and of humanity right now. And I think so many of us are doing our part in doing this work, and it's the collective that is doing this. It's our collective work coming together, really helping to move these energies and shift them. And it's some deep, intense shit. You know, there's some painful process going on right now, and it's beautiful. You know, it's I don't know if painful. I guess it's painful to see the energies, but it's also really exciting to move through it. But I don't want to again skip around into the just love and light thing, but it is an exciting process. It's exciting when a new level comes up, and when a new, like, okay, here's the stuff, it's ready to be worked with, it's ready to move through. And so yeah, I know I can ramble and talk, but you know, I don't know if anybody even watches these videos anyway. So I know that I see views on them. I don't know if people watch through. You know, you can check out the analytics, or I can, because it's my channel, and I don't know that people really watch through them. So I'm probably just talking to myself. But if you are watching and getting anything out of this, yay! You know, that's awesome. I know we are all doing a lot of work together, so. And whatever it looks like for you, for me, for anybody, there's something for me in the process of sharing that is really cathartic and important to me. We are all one. We are all here together. We are all doing this together, and I feel that connection when I'm sharing and putting it out there. And there's something deep in me that just has to put it out there. And so yeah, if you're here, if you're watching, I'm grateful for it. And you're not alone. I know I'm not alone. That was the cards yesterday. There's this big, huge mother energy that is holding us and supporting us. We've shut it down, and we need to tap back into it. You know, allow it. Allow it. I've been so defended and guarded in my heart. See, that's part of the boundaries and the structure that I've created for myself has actually, you know, only served to kind of shut down my heart and not allow that nurturing and that love to flow through, because it was a lot of constraints around it, because that's the way it needed to be, and it helped keep me safe in what I was doing, which is, you know, that's probably a whole nother video for itself. Yeah, again, there's so many layers to this. There's so many angles. It's not just black and white, you know, yeah. So, But that's what came through really big in the reading I did for myself yesterday, was allowing that mothering energy. I don't know it well, and I need to allow it to flow in a much bigger way and just really be open to receive. There's that feminine receptive energy. I need to be open to receive, and I need to allow myself to be held and supported in a way that doesn't conform to the systems and isn't about what it looks like, what I look like, how I'm doing it, if I'm doing it in the way that I'm told I'm supposed to do it. Social media, how many likes, how many emails, how many the numbers, how many followers. That's really big in this world now. So I need to just release that and just be held in whatever's coming through, and have confidence and faith in that. And if somebody's out there watching, they are. If they're not, I'm just going through my process and feeling vulnerable right now. It's kind of weird to share like this. So it's weird and beautiful, that's life, right? So if you've made it this far, thanks for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, reach out. I do a lot of energy and sound healing work around these energies and helping us to move through them. As you can see, just because we engage in the energy healing and sound healing doesn't mean it all goes away, but it really helps to clear, and helps us go deeper and deeper into our process. These are big energies that have been flowing for a long freaking time, and it takes a lot of work, and we're coming at it from many different angles to clear it and move it through, and constantly awakening and evolving and moving through the energies. So sound healing is an excellent way to get in and break up some of the dense energies and help them to move through and release, and help them transmute into higher vibe frequencies of just more awareness and consciousness, and being able to work with our energies and work with these patterns in a healthy way, because it's very easy to turn them in on ourselves, to turn them out towards others, and to continue these unhealthy patterns in relationships and in our families and in ourselves. Not taking care of ourselves and not caring for ourselves. All the work that I do, all of the sessions I offer and the programs that I offer are really geared towards bringing a lot of consciousness around these patterns and energies so that we can bring them into our awareness and work with them in a healthy way through so many different modalities. So if you're needing help with any of this or would like to explore that, please reach out. And I'm not gonna fix it all for you. That's just, it's a long process. It's a long, but we can really get in there and get a lot of space between you and it, it all needs to come up to our consciousness, which is why I'm so grateful for this right now. More stuff is coming up, and I can actually work with it. I have all the tools that I need, and that's what I can share with you is the tools that have worked for me. And again, we're all in this together, and I just want to see us being able to be more receptive to that love and beauty that is in this world, and the healthy feminine energy that's coming through. The more we do to clear out the unhealthy, wounded feminine energies, the more we're able to open to receive and embody the healthy feminine and healthy masculine energies for ourselves. So bringing in the healthy relationships that we want, the healthy relationship with ourselves first and foremost, always that, with spirit, with source, with our hearts. It's all about that. Not until we are there can we really start having good, conscious, healthy relationships with others. And conscious and healthy doesn't mean easy. And my husband and I are very conscious with what we're doing, and there's a lot to work through. These are big fucking energies that are not our own. So it doesn't mean just because we're conscious and working with it and have all these tools that it's an easy ride. It's not. There's a lot of beauty and joy in it and a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun together. We totally do. But there's a lot to be done here. There's a lot of work to be done on the planet. A lot to move into this new consciousness, but we're fully supported and it's beautiful, and all these tools are here to support you. So yeah, reach out if you want to dive into some of that with me. So I look forward to connecting with you, and I hope you have a lovely day, and best to you in all of this. Thanks for being here. Bye.